Jen here with Sammy and his little friend. So I was going to change the topic, but I decided not to chicken out, I guess, and just push forward with it. But as usual, let me ramble for a minute and give a little introduction, I guess we'll call it. I don't want to say I told you so, but God always warns his people before a thing is done. I'm not going to say these are definitives. I'm going to say these are highly probable possibilities and that they can be avoided, and that's why I'm talking about them. Not to propagate or propel them or condone them, nor consent to them, because I do not. It's to shine a light on the workings behind the curtain, the man behind the curtain, the Ed Harris of this realm, of this matrix system. Shine a light on that and maybe offer all of us a little illumination as to how to operate moving forward, how to navigate these waters, yada, yada, yada. So these aren't definitives. These are my insights, kind of what happened to me, and seeing what's happened to other targeted individuals and why that's a thing. And what would you do if I told you that all of these quote-unquote problems that we have are manufactured? Well, most of us get that. We understand Hegelian dialect. Hey guys, how are you? Most of us understand, problem, reaction, solution. By now, we haven't been at this. We didn't just fall off the turnip truck. Excuse me. So these are highly probable. And I just want to give a little background as to where this comes from. I believe this has happened before. When you have undesirables in society and it gets to a point where you don't want to see them anymore, you don't want to be reminded of the problem. But also, a big part of this quote-unquote homelessness problem is manufactured. And I'm going to give you a few examples of why I believe that. So I'm going to move over to another link here for a minute. Not that one. Mary Malone. Now, we've talked about her before, but again, I want to show you that there is a precedent for what you're seeing today and that it isn't so new and that the same tactics seem to be reutilized, again, to sweep away undesirables of society. And also, though, again, this is a multi-pronged wheel here. Also, to validate and justify things like human experimentation in the name of progress for science. Now, we saw that in big part, and people should understand by now the healthcare industry is a teaching industry. I am not a doctor. No part of this is medical advice that I'm giving to you. Okay? This is what I see coming down the road. I can't see your comments. I apologize. I don't know why they still have the background white like that. If you understand the verbiage, please do consider giving the video itself a thumbs up. I won't ask you to share it, but I do believe the information here could help other people in our current times. Mary Malone was nicknamed Typhoid Mary. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I did a video on her about a year ago. If you want to go check it out, it might be a 9 or 10 minute video. It's super short. It says she was the first person in the U.S. identified as a carrier of Salmonella typhi. Now, what happened is she was an immigrant. She was an Ireland, I believe, immigrant. Yes, Ireland. And she was single. She had no roots. She came over here by herself. Now, if we look to find out how she got here, she emigrated here from 15 years old, and she lived with her aunt and uncle for a time but eventually became a cook for affluent families. So she was around elitists. She was around, I believe one of the last people she worked for was a banker. Okay. Now, there's a reason I'm going over these things real quickly, and then I'll get to the point of the video. Again, this is to show you there's a precedent, and I hope we can have our thinking caps on, our critical thinking caps, and patience, because we all have this ADHD where we want everything instantly gratified or instant gratification. And sometimes it takes a minute to get to a point of something. So I'll just ask for your patience. These aren't easy topics. Again, I'm not saying these are definitives. I believe even prophecy can be changed if we change our human behavior. That was the whole point of Jonah going to Nineveh. He didn't want to go. And you have people in churches telling you, well, it's not truly a prophecy if it doesn't happen. That's not true. Jonah was a prophet of God, and he warned Nineveh, prophet, meaning, hey, this is your warning. This is what could happen if you don't change your behavior. And they changed their behavior. And so for a time, God gave them grace, and there were no negative consequences for negative behavior. You have that exchange of energy, right? So basically what I think happened to her is I think she was railroaded. I think she was around affluent families. I think she probably heard things that maybe not everybody wanted her to know. Because she was single and not protected by a man's name, she was probably, how do I go about this? It was in a time when women were easily molested by men, physically and manipulated. The women's suffragette movement happened for a reason. That one lady in town that is now living as a man who allegedly passed on. Real cool to try and make people look crazy by telling them lies like this. And we'll get into that deception in a minute and why they're doing all this. I believe she was one of the first targeted individuals, but so was Christ. So was Mary Magdalena. So was Solomon to a point. So was David. All these people are signaled out, not so much. It's not, and this is the thing, it's not because of what they do is wicked. Our communities tested us, and I failed that test, and I'm one of the first people to admit to that. Like, I'm not innocent in all this. However, that doesn't mean that I should just be hidden away for the rest of my life or have my life taken from me because other people see that I might be undesirable to have around. Now, I went through a thing, and I believe it was a series of tests. My own aunt made a pass at me one evening, and I thought I delicately declined that advance. And after that, things weren't the same, and I never went back there, and she was different to me, and yada, yada, yada. All these things started happening. She heard me talk to my one son about PORN, and she said that I was wicked for telling him not to do that it objectified, women, and that it would mess with your brain. Now you have people like even Billie Eilish coming out against PORN. It rewires your brain when you take in certain types of information. I'm sorry I can't see your comments because of the black or white screen. Can I see them now? No, sorry. So I believe that our communities tested us, and to them we're not desirable to have around, but it's not necessarily, the test I failed wasn't because I wasn't, it wasn't because I fell, it was because I was honest about it. It was because I admitted to the things that I did. That's when everybody turned on me. And they know I have a big mouth. They know I will talk about things, but I have to have the courage to stand up and tell you, like, this is what is coming, and it's not for the people that you think or that it should be for. Maybe I'll say that. Nobody deserves to just be shut away for their entire life and abused or experimented on. At the same time, there should be measures taken to ensure everybody's safety. But what they're giving us is two extremes, especially in voting. And I would discourage you from voting. It is spiritual bondage. Now, this is my opinion. This is my like vlog type editorial. This is all my own theory, is how I see things are playing out. And I don't mean to be on the negative side. I have a really fun video planned, but these things need talked about so that I can say, hey, in the end, like, I think the last place they want certain ones of us is in jail or in an insane asylum, because we'll go about converting people, and then we would probably be like the Bastille in France on Bastille Day. Do your history, check into it, because I'm not promoting violence. I'm just saying, if certain things occurred, that's probably the last place they want truth tellers and truth speakers, is all together. I think this is why they have us separated. But these things can happen, and they happen to people like Mary. She was quarantined for the rest of her natural life after moving jobs a couple of times and allegedly infecting people through her cooking. But she only worked for bankers. If you look into it, she only worked for, I can't see what you're typing, I'm sorry. She only worked for affluent families. Now, again, you can look this up on your own. I did a video about it probably about a year ago, okay? And they quarantined her pretty much for her entire life. Now, this was around the time of the Spanish flu, about exactly 100 years ago. And this is before the Spanish flu, right? That's for a reason. These things are planned out through eugenics. I am not a doctor. No part of this is medical advice. All information shared here is part of the Fair Use Act. If you want to change your medical routine, please seek your chosen professional, because I am not that. And this is not legal advice either. This is me warning y'all and saying this is what happened. They tested all of us. My husband's family, every one of them, works in the system in some way. I was a banker. I worked in healthcare. Like, I was like that, and I didn't realize it at the time. But they knew what was coming. They've been planning for this. And I'm not just going to be one of them people that says it's God, it's tribulation, it's the end of the world. They want us thinking that. They want us saying things like that. And I'll tell you why in a second. It's not. Rosemary Kennedy. And yes, unfortunately, this happens usually to women, children, the infirm, the elderly. If you're a strong male, well, you're valuable, at least in the fact that you've got brute strength. Women are disposable in societies. When they say women and children first, it's not a good thing. Who was Rosemary Kennedy, and why am I talking about her next? Because if you read this Wikipedia with me, you can tell that it's highly biased, and you should really be able to read between the lines. And this is what I've been trying to teach and relay to people for so long. And this is why I go over the same topics in a variety of ways, so that it'll affect more people that way. And maybe more people will wake up to what's going on around them and not be cowardly and give in for material gifts. Not sell out your own family for material gifts, or even for your own life. You get to live so that, and the person next to you doesn't. How's that just? We're not supposed to be deciding these things. And again, this place operates on consent. Okay, so I'm going to get to the spiritual aspects of this in just a moment. But the things I'm seeing manifest today through the media, the symbology that I'm seeing manifest, is all pointing in very specific ways. And when I get into the material things, when I say about everybody, who's wearing these dark sunglasses even at night, and for some reason these people all have tooth issues. I drink pop a lot when I shouldn't. I go through like binges with, giving up certain things like we all do. Um, and I went years without going to a dentist at different intervals in my life when I was just young and working and I didn't have insurance. And I've never had, and I've used substances in the past. I've always been able to pretty much put down anything, though it's never been a problem for me, and I'm blessed in that way, and I realize that. Why am I talking about this, and why am I talking about Rosemary Kennedy? Because during these lockdowns, I encouraged everybody to build up your willpower and to build up your strength. Who is she and what happened to her? Right around the same issues. Okay, she was born into the era of Spanish flu. Now you have to figure these things, there's a buildup and then there's a decline as society is reset and readjusted to the new quote unquote workings of the matrix. Okay. Now, on TV and media, Ed Harris is the God, or Lucifer, little g, God of the Matrix. He is that in Snowpiercer, and he is that in the Truman Show as well. And I have a theory about movies, and we're going to get to that, but not yet. So, she was a Kennedy sister. She was the eldest of the daughters, okay? Now she looks very normal there, no? Very happy. She's about to be presented to the king and queen at Buckingham Palace. Any girl would be excited to be dressed up like a princess and go to a literal castle. I don't care who you are. You're going to be impressed in some way, shape, or form. She looks very much like a normal individual. She's making eye contact. She's not downtrodden looking. She's very clean and hygienic look. You know what I mean? So just follow me for a second. Funny how when a woman becomes inconvenient, people want to just lock her away or end her. So it says she experienced seizures and violent mood swings. In response to these issues, her father arranged a lobotomy for her when she was only 23 years old. Now, the woman that I took care of, and again, I'm not giving names, so as far as you know it, you don't know who this is, so I can do that. That's legally allowed by law. We're not supposed to be diagnosing each other either. These people who are targeting us, saying, oh, you're schizophrenic, you're paranoid. It's funny how they're hypocritical in that way, no? Weren't they telling us when all this was going down to listen to the experts? And our videos were shut down if we even mentioned what was going on. But if you're sponsored and you have a big channel, you can talk about these hot button issues, hot topic issues, because you're pushing the agenda or the side that the system wants you to push. We're all being right now. You know why they show those pictures of the cattle running in circles? They're mocking us. They're mocking us. That's how they see us. Have you ever seen a video where a cattle is rounded up into its stalls in a barn? However, so gently they're herded into that gate there. They're out in the field, but the horses and the guys on the horses, the cowboys, they round them up, and they have dogs sometimes. Dogs that will steer the sides of them. So they're being manipulated on all sides by men who are above them and can see the whole horizon, and by dogs below them and to their sides. So they don't even realize they're being manipulated into a certain direction and a certain behavior. That's where this is all taking us, and that's what's being done now. You're giving two extremes to vote on. You can vote on either this extreme or that extreme. Guess what happens when you're a Christ follower and you vote for pro-life or pro-choice? You're then saying the government has a say over your body, ladies. In other matters. I'm not going to participate. I'm not going to choose one life over another or the lesser of two evils. Do you see what I'm saying here? They're not giving you a choice. They're hurting everybody. like cattle. Human resources, that's all we are. And closing your eyes to it or saying, well, me and my family are safe, we're all working, we don't make waves, we don't cause problems. What happens when you're like me and you just happen to offend the wrong person or people? When you try to walk that line of truth and you're hated for it. It'd be different if this was all happening to me because of the things that I did wrong. It's happening to me because I told the truth. And people like me talk about these things at great risk. So after that, it left her permanently incapacitated and rendered her unable to speak. Gee, that's rather convenient, wouldn't you say? I wonder if that's the same year that woman died under mysterious circumstances around Ted Kennedy. Huh. What you might hear if you're in a family like that. Isn't it really convenient that they did that to her and suddenly she can't speak? Look, normal family. And I'm not stigmatizing mental issues here, and I'm not saying they're not real. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying a framework is created, and you're given a false choice. And you're bonding yourself then. You're saying, I'm voting pro-life. Okay, you can tell that woman what to do with her body. You can tell me what to do with my body. Now they're saying women in comas can be used as surrogates. Do you see where this is headed? You're not being given a choice. You're being herded into the one option. You just can't see it. Most people can't see it. I can see it because I don't vote, because I'm not a part of it, because I am on the outside of it. Politics to me is like wrestling for adults. It's entertaining, but it's fake. They're actors. Everything on the screen is to get us to behave in a certain type of way. I've never met Trump. I don't even know if dude is real. As far as I know, he's created by AI. Someone in the comments section the other day called him Jesus. Oh, Mary and Joseph, forgive us, Lord. Like, he's not Jesus. He's not. Looks like a regular family. And I mean, of course, they look like it. Who knows? But every family has its troubles, and every family has its secrets. Every single one. But they had an image to uphold, right? So during her birth, it says the doctor wasn't available right away because of an outbreak of the Spanish flu. Again, we have a clue there. It's like a breadcrumb, okay? Just like when people give the peace sign now in their pictures, that's not a good thing when they're flashing that peace sign. I can't see what you're saying. Shoot. Type bump and maybe I can, I don't know why this didn't go black for me too. Probably because it's in Chrome. I can't make it dark, I'm sorry. I will go back to the comments though and watch the replay and try to catch what you're saying. I will be moving from this as well. So they told her to keep her legs closed. So to not give birth. First of all, no nurse is going to do that. Women help women every day with things like this. We hear about people going into labor and normal everyday people delivering babies. But they're using this, see? They built up a story. This woman cannot defend herself. She can't say this isn't how it was. She can't say I was just an independent woman for my age. She can't say maybe it was her sensual orientation back then. And this is what I'm saying. And I'll get to that revenge aspect of all this next. Remember when it began, right before the lockdowns, and all of the kitty children were on Twitter singing that song, It's Coming Down, oh yeah, it's coming down. And everybody keeps thinking, well, it's the Mandela effect. John F. Kennedy's going to come back. I don't know if it's necessarily that. Again, this is how they talk to each other. They're talking to each other. These are coded messages they send to each other to avoid a paper trail. So it's easier to whitewash history, to erase it, to rewrite it as it's happening. This woman cannot speak for herself. It says she wasn't reaching basic milestones, but then once you get down here, some have raised questions about the accounts of the nature of her disability. A biographer wrote that Rose Kennedy did not confide in her friends and that she pretended her daughter was developing typically, with relatives other than immediate family knowing nothing of her disability. Despite the help of tutors, she had trouble learning to read and to write, so at age 11 she was sent away to boarding school for people with disabilities. At age 15, she was sent to Sacred Heart Convent. Now, again, you know how I feel about the Catholic Church, but again, there are wicked people, and those nuns, those old school nuns, especially if it was your sensual orientation, if that's the reason they were doing some of these things to her, but she might have just been headstrong. When I was a kid, the reason I have trouble saying no now and why I give in easily is because it was brainwashed out of me. I was told you don't ever say no, and I was sat on the toilet literally like Ralphie, and I had soap put in my mouth. And I remember just sitting there, and that's when I just started like getting away in my imagination. It doesn't sound like much, but it really is when you're a child and you're trying to not consent to certain things that are going on to and around you. See, that's the problem with this world system, is it doesn't give you a choice till you're 18. And again, you have these issues that are coming up in the ballot boxes. They're misrepresenting what they actually mean. And if you look into them in depth, they both actually are the same thing at the root. You're not given a choice. Voting is an illusion. So why bind up your spirit with that stuff? Because I want to know at the end of all this, when I'm standing before my maker, because I believe that we will. And I don't think, if you don't believe that, I don't think it matters. I think the scales of justice are a real thing. I think that the Egyptians weren't all wicked like we're taught. I think they had some real wisdom. I think we need to be open to certain change. And some of that change, though, needs to be going back to tradition, because I believe that we are greatly declined in intellectuality and intellectualism and just intelligence and wisdom in our generations. And it is greatly affecting us, all of us. You could almost say, compared to the theologians of old, some people here and now are just impaired. They're going to reopen insane asylums, and it's not going to be for the people who maybe really do need help. It's going to be for people who speak out and don't go along with their delusion. If you're not willing to lie, if you're not really willing to eat your pain, if you're not willing to suffocate your true self, your spirit man, you will be silenced. And it might be like me, you might just be secluded and isolated and not able to move in this world, cut off from earning a living. Or you might be to the point where you're a nuisance and they put you somewhere. That's why I don't like the DNA test happening right now either, is because I'm really concerned about jails as well. Where are they going to reopen these asylums, though? Because I don't think they're going to do what they once did. I don't think that's going to happen. Funny how the Catholic Church is getting rid of a lot of churches. They're selling some of their churches. Pretty big, huh, in there. You know that the Catholic Church also, in the wars during World War II, they were used as clinics for soldiers. It was a blessing. But now we're at a time where everything's flipped upside down and inside out, and the people who can make change and actually want to help are silenced or stopped or cut off. I don't think there was anything wrong with this woman other than she was probably headstrong. She probably heard a lot of things that she shouldn't have heard, and she probably did not want to keep her mouth shut about certain things. Now, if you read through this, you can see there's a certain tone here. And they even make fun of her for almost tripping and falling as she practiced the curtsy for hours. They made no sign of noticing it, though. The king and queen smiled as if nothing happened. Somebody really just didn't like this young lady. I'd like to look more into her story, and I'd like to really know if it was the same year that he got in trouble because he knew something about somebody whose car went off of a pier, I think. Hold on. There it is. The Chappaquiddick incident resulted in the death of his automobile passenger, Mary Jo. Okay, so that was years later. But you get what I'm saying. I'm sure she heard a lot of secrets. Okay, so now where are we going? Well, I want to show you something. And again, I don't want to say I told you so. I've been talking about this ad nauseum for a long time. Notice what's trending now, how many people are talking about this. If I can get to the... Hold on. Hold, please. Okay. This one is from August 5th. Inside 9 horrifying insane asylums. 2 days ago, The Wrap, The Five hails Trump plan to reopen mental institutions to fight homelessness. What if I told you the homelessness problem is also manufactured? That these alleged targeted individuals who are traveling from hotel to hotel are actors, probably military actors, making this homeless problem seem a lot worse than it is. I think that's what's happening, and I've believed that as well for a long time. I don't think the problem is near as bad as they're presenting it to be. I think they want to do a reset and they don't want truth talkers around. More to it than that, Jen. Oh, the DNA stated reason is open disclosure. I don't know about that. I'll have to look into that a little more. So again, I don't think the homeless problem is as bad as it's looking. I know that when things went down for me in 2018, I was told daily to get out. My own mother-in-law was screaming at me to get out of the place where I paid the rent, even after supporting her son for 30 years. Get out, get out, get out. No one wants you here. You need to leave. This is my house. Those are my children. I'm not going anywhere. Or my dwelling place. Sorry, I'm not going to leave a place where I pay to live. This has been planned. They're making certain targeted individuals are legit, yes, but they're making this problem seem worse by busing people around, just like Soros did with the protests. They are busing people from place to place. Some are legitimate homeless people. But on YouTube, I was just watching, the YouTubers are pushing for this now too. Candace Owens just did a video about insane asylums. And remember, they always practice the opposite. They will tell you that they dislike somebody just to see if you will talk crap on them. So then you're in trouble with that person. All they were doing was baiting you. They weren't being serious. They're that person's friend on the sly. You know how many times that happened to me as a girl in high school? That's what they're doing. For plausible deniability. So you can't say, oh, well, she promoted him or this, that, or the other. Funny how she's pretending to really not like Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. Or ex-prince. Duchess? I don't know what their titles are now. I don't know. But it's funny how she's pretending not to like those two. The comment sections, like Brett Cooper's channel is called, is a great place for them to see who's on board with this stuff and who is not. And believe me, they've been watching us for a minute now. You need to take this seriously. And I do get passionate about these topics because I know what gaslighters are going to do. They're going to come in and say certain things, and I'm not having it anymore. I know my enemies. Discovered documents reveal more about Milwaukee County insane asylum. That's 6 days ago. The Wall Street Journal, July 21st. It's time to bring back insane asylums. I can't see still. What does that say? Oh, fiddlesticks. Oh, what does this? And that one was July 21st from Wall Street Journal. So now you have Trump, insane asylums emptied into the U.S. Now he's saying that this is what happened in June. Okay, keep watching. The Conversation, how to solve our mental health crisis. Are asylums the answer? News Nation. You see how everybody's on board with this agenda? Everybody. They're going to tell you this is the more humane way to do things. America's obsession with asylums. Ramasway's answer to rising crime. Involuntary commitment to mental institution. Gee, I wonder what they would do if they had your DNA or your blood. Be pretty easy to frame you, wouldn't it? Spiritually speaking, yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of other things going on, but that's not what this video here is about, per se. March 31st. They have been pushing this for a long time. 3 weeks ago. Why Europe's psychiatric care needs a revamp too. Gee, why are all the YouTubers pushing that BetterHelp app? Do you think maybe it's so they could see where everybody's standing on certain issues or their familial situations? People they want to know where you stand on things. And people who aren't going along with their current delusions are going to maybe get locked up. Maybe. Wisconsin, like Idaho, has high demographic of occult practice, wizards, witches. Provocateur. Oh, agent provocateurs. Yeah, like the, I see what you're saying. The undercover homeless people or yeah. Just like the people on YouTube. Project Mockingbird, guys. I just watched a video, I'll share it, of this guy who was doing homeless videos. And they went up and talked to a woman and she said, now I'm telepathic so I can hear certain things sound just like me, right? Now there are people who make millions of dollars for writing about that stuff. But they dismissed her. Why? Because she starts talking about, she says how they're bussing around all these homeless people, and it's the CIA and FBI undercover. And the guy dismissed it, walking away. He says, yeah, she's got a mental health issue, obviously. But in a moment of clarity, she mentioned the mental health crisis, right? If you talk about these things, they'll call you paranoid. They'll call you schizophrenic. They'll say there's something wrong with you for thinking these things. How could you possibly think such things? Funny how in 30, 50 years, you'll probably see another president on another screen somewhere apologizing for the war crimes committed against people like me and you. These are war crimes. We are at war. They just didn't tell any. Do you think they're going to announce it? We've been under some kind of thing my whole life. And I meant to look into that. There was something that didn't expire, that was never re-signed, that makes it like we're actually in some type of martial law situation. But don't quote me on that. I'm not saying that's a fact. I have to look into that more. So you see, this is a trending topic. Everybody is on board with this. And if you don't stand where they want you, geopolitically, that's it. You're not useful to them. And so again, then you have the life insurance. Then they call you crazy. It's their job. Yeah, like that's their job, is to gaslight. Project Mockingbird. The television is full of nothing but FBI and CIA. Why do you think they all speak the same scripts? I know you all have seen those videos about the newscasters saying the same thing all over the United States. It's just mind control. I wonder if most of these politicians even exist. Can I go to a rally? Can I meet one of them? Is there anything that's not a setup in this place? Because it's all looking really darn fake at this point to me. And I mean, like, fake in a big way, like in the Adjustment Bureau fake. Then you're toast. Bullseye, Jen. Right, right. Like, this is just, I'm appalled. I'm disgusted. I honestly am to the point I can't believe I brought children into this world. I can't believe I didn't just go join the Peace Corps or put myself in a nunnery somewhere. I see why people hide away from society. This is lunacy. This is lunacy that they're going to end up doing this. Why are you going to put homeless people? That's not what they need. They need a shower. They need a good night's sleep, then a job. They're trying to do all of this in reverse. And the problem that the homeless people get into is they don't have any ID. And when you don't have an ID or an address, you can't get a job, right? If you don't have an address to give them, you can't get a job. You can't buy or sell. We're already at that stage. We just don't know what the mark is or how, whatever. They're also going to tell you that these chip things, ladies, scared parents out there, they're going to capitalize on your fear. And they're going to tell you that getting your child chipped will always let you know the status of their health and their vitals. But more than that, it will also let you know where your child is at all times. So they don't turn into one of the people who goes missing across the United States. They're making these situations and these problems, exacerbating them, and pretending like they're offering you up some great grand solution when that's not what it's going to be. You cannot function without ID. No, you can't. You can't do anything without an ID. The ID is like the freaking mark. I don't know. We got to look what mark. I did a study on that and looked it up. It's just so bizarre to like I'm just so disgusted with my own race, with humanity at this point. And even like I didn't want to get on board with like I'm sick of everybody saying like just because you're this color you're this, or just because you're this size you're that. I look Caucasian, that doesn't mean I'm all Caucasian. I grew up in the city. And honestly, the white boys were meaner to me than the boys of color. It's always been that way for me. Suckered pinched. You tell him, Jen. I'm just disgusted. Like, I don't even know what to say. Like, I ask every day, God, give me the strength and the courage and the bravery of people like St. Joan of Arc and St. Judith. Autocorrect, I hear you. Auto incorrect. Everything is upside down and inside out. And again, I was tested at this job. I didn't answer right about the alien thing. I didn't say, oh, that'd be so cool to meet them, because it wouldn't be. I don't care. Like, I really don't want to meet their fake aliens that they have dressed up because of some throwback Project Paperclip, because they just want to experiment on their fellow man. We're dealing with a bunch of truly psychopathic people who want to do harm for the sake of doing harm. There's no other reason. A bunch of sadism, sadist, nihilism. Like, that's what we're dealing with. Deviancy on a broad spectrum. And everything that we do, like people who say, oh, witchcraft, you're going to this, that, and the other. If you have a cell phone, you're guilty of modern day witchcraft. Like, we really got to get out of this headspace of where we're afraid of everything and we start taking back our free will and our sovereignty. It's all psychological ops, every bit of it. I've not seen one thing on the screen that's been real. Like I said, I binge certain shows just to see what clues are being given away. I look into who publishes certain things and produces them, so I know what their agenda is in writing something. You need to look at these things. Everyone has an agenda or a motivation. I don't care if your agenda and motivation is love. Well, then that's your agenda and motivation. Everyone has one, though. But I'm disgusted. Like, I don't even know what to think anymore about all this. And the people who actually need help, who are walking around saying, I identify as a tree. I mean, I like trees too, but I know I'm not one. I don't even know. I'm at a loss, guys. I'm so disgusted and flabbergasted. I want to be like Forrest Gump and just start walking and not stop till I just can't move. That's how frustrated I am. Like, just start going across the US. I don't care who tries to stop me, whatever, just keep going. I don't care. Just to walk off this frustration I have. And no, I'm not violent. I don't want to hurt anybody. I'm a pacifist. That's the whole thing. Most of us aren't actually hurting anybody. I hurt my family. I offended somebody important in the town, a couple people actually, by speaking the truth, by not committing fraud when I worked in the healthcare industry, by not lying. I didn't get a promotion at the bank because I said I was honest and that I wanted to do a good job and honest work. You're in great company, Jen, though so alone. I feel really alone. Like I wish I could reach more people, not because I don't want to be recognized. I don't want my face on a screen anymore. I don't like my picture taken anymore. Um, but I think my story is worth hearing because it's not just my story. It's the story of thousands of us across the United States who just happened to be in the wrong family, or who just happened to offend the wrong person, or who just happened to stand for truth. And we're punished for it. Like, I've been mercilessly punished. You have no idea. There's things I won't even speak of. They're so disgusting. Alone where people are concerned. Yeah, I know. I know. I could use prayer. I could always use prayer. And I could use prayer that God lifts up these messages, not just mine, everybody's, all of our testimonies. This is not okay what they're doing. The only thing that was mentally wrong with me is I've been in an abusive situation like this for 30 years. And I know they saw it coming because now looking back, I can see how I was manipulated into the cattle stall. I see it so clearly now because it's in the past, right? But it's coming. And just because you think you might be safe, you're not. You're a resource. And the second that you lose your value, that's it. I can't believe I like this is, I guess I was an idealist. Like, I did not think the world was like this. Like, it's crushing. Like, it crushes you. And if you don't go along with a program like me, they will strip you of everything that you love. But if they're able to take it away from you, is it really worth having? Is it really love? Maybe one day my children will look up to me and admire me for having a backbone and for standing up. For a long time, I was quiet when things were happening to just me because it was just me and because I had children who needed me to raise them and support them. But now that I'm seeing a lot of the things, like I was some beta test and now it's happening on a broader scale, I have no other choice. There is no other option. Elitists don't look like they're elitists, guys. The people you see on TV, they're just they're characters portraying the real people. They're like avatars. Do you think the real king wants you to know what he looks like? Seriously, though. Because I don't. If I had all that money, I would be paranoid. If I had that kind of power, if I had people hating me and loving me, loving to hate me, I don't think I'd want anyone knowing what I look like. Not really. Maybe they do, though, because of the arrogance. Maybe they think they are untouchable. I don't know. But they're buddies and friends, and these people who are in the foundation of the pyramid, they're our neighbors. They're our friends. They're our family. They all knew this was coming. And they all knew every family has to downsize, guys. Every household. Every single one. Unless you're a single individual. Or a couple who's young and procreating. Like, this is literally like a machine at this point. No human being could have done this by themselves. They shoved these statistics into some type of D-Wave computer and came out with this whole scenario many moons ago. Because it's too well organized. It's like a well-oiled machine the way it's working. And everybody's falling for it. They're allowing themselves to be divided. They're allowing themselves to be instigated and propagated into violence, or at least not that, into voting for these horrible choices. That's not a choice. I'm pro-life too, but I'm not going to say that the government or any other person than me has a say over my body. I'm not going to agree to that. It is no option. There is no option. Neither of those options is something I would vote for. So I abstain. Stop letting yourself be pressured by your friends and family. Oh, it's your obligation. Oh, I voted today. You got your button. I got my button. You got your sticker. Who'd you vote for? What is wrong with us? What is wrong with everybody? That you want to be liked that much, or you want to fit in that much with people who are not your peers. These people are not my peers. They do not love me. I was a commodity to them. I was an asset, and my usefulness has worn out. Done? I don't know what the done means. The sword cuts both ways. I don't know what you're referring to there, love. I'm sorry. But it's disgusting. Like, I can't believe this is happening. I would strongly discourage people from voting at all. Like, I really would. What does that say? Prayer? Oh, prayers. Thank you. Thank you. I'm at a loss at this point. Like, what? And I'm here with people who wanted to do this to me. Still probably do. They want me removed from this picture. It's not enough I've already been removed from the family. Who am I going to call if they frame me or put me in jail? I don't have a call to make. I don't have a person to call. Do you know how many people out there are like me? How many people are considered deplorables and they just forget you? You get lost in the cracks of this system. And you were never taught how to be self-sustained. This system, the way it is, all you got to do is look around at our houses. Look at our houses. Let me look it up. How long does vinyl siding last? What are our houses made of today? Most of our houses are made of vinyl. Sure, they might have a basement, a brick foundation, but the rest of it is insulation, wood, and vinyl. Commonly selected for its durability. Hello, you consider a house that only lasts 20 to 40 years being durable. I'm supposed to grow my family in a house like that? Guys, this system has not been self-sustainable since the beginning. They knew it was going to fail setting it up. This has all been an experiment. They wanted stuff that was easy to take down, things that were easy to dismantle. Like, at this point, I don't even know. I am so, like, isolated from relationship with people. As far as I know, I'm some guinea pig, and I'm like Truman. Like, I've not even seen the real world yet. I want to know what's up, Ed Harris. Like, I seriously. And why do they make you God of these horrible universes, like the Truman Show? It's always Ed Harris. Never mess with the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is with you, Jen. Amen. Amen. Thank you. I pray that the Holy Spirit is with me and never leaves me. We were never supposed to be a civilization that thrived or lasted very long. I don't know why it is that way. Maybe it really is aliens, although I don't believe that. Unfortunately, men have wicked in their hearts, and I imagine if you are eternal and you realize that, it you'd get bored and maybe becoming debaucherous is easier, like it's a slippery slope. I do not consent to these shenanigans. I do not consent to them presenting these news stories like they're real just to manipulate people's behaviors. I don't consent to any of it. I want to see my fellow man thrive. I want to see you guys happy. I want to know that Sun Moon Water has food and neighbors who love her and look in on her and whose little pets are taken care of if she can't take care of them one day, or that she's miraculously healed completely. I want good for my neighbors, like I do. Just because maybe I speak truth that people have disagreed with, that doesn't mean I don't love them. It just means I disagree with them. I have done nothing but give to this community. So what I don't agree with all of you? So what I'm not going to fall in with your frickin' delusion? I'm not stupid. I recognize that woman. She came into my line. No teeth, walking, not in a wheelchair, dressed as a dude. Obviously older, but she hated me at the nursing home. She did not want me caring for her. I don't know why. I think it might have been because I had children. Just like Rose Kennedy, her father had taken out her ovaries, though, because she was a leader of the suffragette movement, and he was a doctor, and allegedly he took those out so she couldn't get cancer. You're welcome. So I looked up to this woman. But to see her come in there like that, that's her choice if that's what she wants to do. I didn't even say anything. I just said, wow, you really look like someone I used to take care of. 2 days later, the nutritionist that I used to work with, one of the office gals with clicky heels, real nice gal, I thought, comes in and says, oh, you remember the one who didn't like you? And I said, yeah. She didn't like you because you wear your hair, but you wear those headbands in your hair. I'm like, really? That's why she didn't like me? And she said, well, she passed, right? Like, lady, I know what you're doing. You're gaslighting me. She was just here 2 days ago. How do you think they're paying for all these surgeries? It is the death of one and the birth of another. Get it yet? The insurance aspect? This is a well-oiled machine. Like, very well-oiled machine. And these people whose bodies that they're ruining, they have a permanent client for the rest of that person's life because they have to forever be on medication. I mean, that's pretty much the goal, right? Get everyone medicated. You know how many women this has happened to in the past? And at least that's one angle that's different this time. It's not going to be just women this time. Very clearly not going to be. And I have it on good authority that some of you gaslighters, perps on the lower levels, yeah, you're soon. You're like, your usefulness is worn out for a couple of you, very specifically. How do I know this? Like our friend just said, the Holy Spirit's with me. I know these things. I don't care if you call me crazy. See, I'm one of those people that's just fuel for me. You want to call me crazy? I'm going to do everything in my power then to bring you evidence and proof that what I'm saying is accurate. And if I don't have an answer for you, I will find you one. It just might not be the answer you like. Because that's what I do. I connect people with other people they need. I connect people with things and resources they need. And I find things that other people have a hard time finding. I'm not the only one. There's a lot of us using our little niches, our little talents, trying to convey a bigger picture here, folks, of what's going on. Quit allowing yourselves to be bullied into a certain type of behavior. If for nothing else than the fact that you have free will, you don't have to live that way. Not to mention I am guilty, a mere bondservant, my bond high, purchased at a great price. Me too. Like again, I'm not innocent in all this. This is part of my being born again, is to be a different person and behave in different ways and not expect different results by behaving in the same manner, which is actually the definition of insanity. So if you go by the true definition of insanity, it's not me that's insane. It's literally the rest of my household and family, because they refuse to admit when they're wrong about something, or they refuse to apologize when they're wrong. You know, they hated that too. I say I'm sorry too much. Who tells someone that? Boy, you're just too humble. We got to fix that. Who tells someone that? That's supposed to be a Christ follower. Humility is good right now. That's where I need to abide. Now, granted, I'm not saying humiliation. Humility and humiliation, two different things. Having humility or being humiliated, completely different. But I'm not one of them people that's just going to sit down in a corner and shut up. So whatever you're going to do, if God allows you to it, let's get on with it. Because time's wasted and I'm pretty bored at this point. The dang herd again. Absolutely. Absolutely. But I'm not the one. I'm not going to be quiet. I'm not going to lie for any of you. What loyalty did you show me? I haven't been shown any loyalty. Oh my gosh, I have a roof. Guess what? I pay for it. Guess what? I busted my butt 30 years supporting my whole family. It's kind of why my back doesn't work the way it's supposed to now. And I suspect there's other hidden reasons as well that my health is not great. So this society was never meant to last. I don't want to see you turn into a Mary Typhoid or a Miss Kennedy or any of these situations. Now, what's happening with the tent cities? What if I told you, just like with George Soros and the protests, that they were moving people from place to place? Would you believe me? Would you believe me that some of them are military actors? Maybe UN. Already out there. So that when we say, hey, we need a solution for this, ta-da, here they are. How many tent cities do we have now? Portland, we know, has a bunch of them. Anaheim, Anchorage, Berkeley. Funny, Berkeley, where they were hiding that antimatter. Chico, Eugene, Oregon. Eureka, California. Bet there aren't any in Utah. How much you want to bet? How much you want to bet there ain't any in Utah? And if there are, they're getting moved around quite a bit. California's full of them, we know that. But it's easier to be homeless where it's warm. So some of these people actually intentionally go to these places if they can make it. Vegas, Long Beach, LA has several. Most famously, Skid Row, where if you end up on Skid Row, you get locked in there, whether you belong there or not. They don't want you leaving. They don't want that problem getting any worse. So if you happen to go down the wrong road as a tourist, sorry, so sad, so bad. So California has a whole bunch of them. Washington has a couple. San Fran, we knew this. Like, they're everywhere in California. Look at that. Who's living in all the houses? What are they going to do with all the houses? Who's going to get the houses? They don't want anyone to have their own culture or roots. Then you're like me. You're easier to manage that way if you're a lone wolf and they want to cut you off the herd, they can. And you're easier to manipulate and it's easier to get a person to be compliant when they're a lone wolf because they have no one there standing up for them, helping them be strong. They are moving these places. I just watched a video They moved, they paid for the tickets and flew a bunch of people to Hawaii. There's an island there. Paradise Island, it's called. Look it up. How much you want to bet that some of them people are actors making that situation look worse? And the woman said when they went up to her, she's like, oh, there's CIA all the time around here. You got to be careful. And then she started explaining the problem, and she was pretty well spoken. And the guy, they walked away, and he's like, well, what do you think of that one? Oh, clearly a mental issues, clearly she needs some help. But she had a moment of, dude, that's gaslighting so bad. That's the worst type of gaslighting, is to point at someone and say you're crazy. That's like a 2-year-old can do that. Are you kidding me? Where's your intellectualism or your well-informed debate skills? Like, this is what we get. Are you kidding me? Like, these people are gonna, like, I don't get it. I'm at a loss. I'm at a loss. What is going on? Why are we allowing this to happen? God isn't allowing this. We're allowing it. We're all allowing it. It's all just going on and on and on. And the thing is I believe the system needs change too. It's not functioning properly. I think it should be broke down into smaller, communities. And people are definitely too centralized to these cities because that's where the resources are. You don't bring the resources to them. You should give them skills to produce their own resources. Give everybody a house, an acre of land, and teach them how to plant. And in a year, you won't have to provide for them anymore. They'll be doing it on their own. And everybody will be healthier for it. I'm sorry, but we shouldn't be living the way we're living. This is why all this is happening. It was never meant to be long term. But unfortunately, they already have, as usual, a solution planned out. They're going to come in and be saviors and say, okay, well, to get this going, you're going to have to make sacrifices. You're going to have to make sacrifices. Everyone says that. Everyone. Google, or when you get to YouTube, do a search on homelessness and do a search on, gosh, what was the other thing? What did you say? Invalidate and manipulate. Absolutely. And it's just so dumb, though. Like, really, you don't have a better rebuttal than to say, like, you're schizophrenic. Or, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. I mean, don't get me wrong. You should rebuke things that are untruthful or wicked. But rebuke actually means something. Like, you don't just say, I'm going to rebuke you. You actually rebuke them. Like, I disagree with you. I'm not in line with that type of thinking because it's anti-Christian, anti-neighborly. It's not about love. And I'm not down with it. There, I just rebuked the whole thing. But saying I rebuke isn't enough. I don't consent to this. Do you consent to all this? Sure, people need a place to stay. Absolutely. Every village needs a couple of people to get together and write down everyone's skills. And then you break people up into smaller groups. Give them a piece of paper and a couple of lists, and off you send them. And trust me, people will be pretty eager to do this when they know that they're getting land or a house. We have enough land for it. They're lying to you about everything. Everything you see on the screen is a lie. Go out, take a walk, get out of the city. Go look even at videos of the national parks, man. Do something. But if you're going along with this, just to go along to get along, you are a part of the problem. It is disgusting. And I'm disgusted by humanity at this point. Like, I don't even know what to think. Yes, we need peacemaker among the tribes. Absolutely. And each leader of each tribe to go talk to each other. And can it be fair? Like, can we just have... I just went back to her because I wanted to pull something up that was a darker screen. What was the other thing? Shoot. Oh. Let's see how many Walmarts are empty. see. The stores are underperforming or falling short of financial expectations, so some of them are closing. They say they're closing because of shrinkage and because of crime. But again, somebody's going to come along, probably the Antichrist, whoever is that role. I don't know if we're in the tribulation, but we're definitely in what they want to be considered as the end days. Like, that's what they want us thinking. Make no mistake. That's what they want you to think. They want you to give up. They want you to tune in. They want you to time waste. Anything so that you don't look around you and see what's actually happening. I talked to you about that movie, Hello, Darling, Truman, Dark City, The Adjustment Bureau, Real Guy. How many more movies do they need to make about this before you get it? Because I'm really starting to wonder if, like, remember how we talked about The Simpsons being real? Everybody talks about this, right? Everybody knows that this stuff happens. Well, I remember this from when I was a kid. I stopped watching it years ago because I just got bored with it. In one of their Halloween episodes, they're actually a television for aliens. They're a television show. I'm literally starting to wonder if you watch certain movies, even if you watch certain entertainers, not the big ones, but certain ones that the big ones are around, it's almost like there's a Truman in every show, like some person that actually thinks everything that's happening is real. I know that sounds wild. I know how this, and again, oh, you're crazy. Again, this is a woo channel. People make millions of dollars talking about topics just like this. The Y-Files has 3 million people tune in just for one video. So I'm not insane. I'm not any more insane than anyone else in this time. And I know I'm a human being. I don't think I'm a tree or a frog or any of these other things out there. But something really strange is going on in at least my life, and I've noticed it with other people. Other stars that they say are like retiring, or did you notice like sometimes the character they play, that ends up happening to them in their real life? So we're going to do a whole episode on that, but if you want to look into it, what I'm talking about with the Jim Carrey and Ed Harris phenomenon is if you look at his roles, especially, you know, I'm going to use, of course, The Truman Show and, where's the other one? Because you guys probably didn't see this one. If you haven't seen Snowpiercer yet, you've got to see it. It's an amazing movie. But he is the little G God in this movie too, okay? What's disturbing about it is that, see how behind them, that's actually a train engine. It looks a lot like CERN. And I was watching another thing about that the other day, about the flux capacitor and how all these things are very similar that they're showing us. And I'm really wondering what type of energy they're using to keep that thing powered. I'm wondering if it takes like the energy of a human being, like our essence or something like you see in Dark Crystal. Because it's starting to get very strange when you, none of their stuff is really about science. Like you watch their videos and they're all like these dramatic art pieces or film pieces. They're not actual. They spend more time on theatrics than they do real science. And theatrics are illusory. That's illusion. So when they show us the LHC, they're conveying a message, but I don't think it's the one they've been telling us with their lips. I hope that makes better sense, maybe. I'm going to look into see what other roles he's played, because I don't know for certain. It is the entire Steer the Psychiatrist. I think that was a Percy's cartoon. With your insight, the cartoon says so much. Thank you. It is the entire hero. Oh, entire herd, said the steer. with your insight. Oh, geez, don't thank me. Ah, The Far Side. I used to love them. They were so good. Okay, so that's really all I have for you guys for today, but we're gonna get into, like I said, we looked a little bit about Mormons and acting yesterday. I think that's a big thing. Like, I think, believe it or not, our society is like, there's more people in on this joke than aren't. And I don't actually, like, okay, so what if you pass the test? Did they then tell you the big secret? Like, hey, guess what? Death is a lie. But you have to believe it's real. Otherwise, you won't grow spiritually. Because there won't be anything to work towards. Like, what is the secret? There's something I'm missing. Because this can't be it. I'm so unimpressed. Like seriously unimpressed. This is their master plan. To reopen insane asylums and plop everybody in them. Like, I don't know. God is love. I'll see you later. I'm going to run too. If you guys haven't seen, I don't think I have it on there. Hello, Darling. That's another one, like I said, with like a simulation. But Ed Harris, we're going to talk about the controller of the realm. Oh, Westworld 2. That was a really weird, strange role he was in there as well. I didn't know he was in that. Yeah, he's always some, like, wicked guy. Always. Well, not always. Radio was pretty good. I like that one. I don't think any other roles are as weird as the Snowpiercer one, but yeah, Snowpiercer and Truman, it's like they're the same. I don't know, or Jim Carrey is like all his roles represent a different version of Truman. I don't know. We'll talk about that. That's what's next. The Truman or Jim Carrey phenomenon, along with Ed Harris, because we're going to look at typecast means today. A lot of people aren't aware of these known techniques in my day. You know, like a lot of people married just for publicity, right? They weren't actually in a real marriage. Most people knew that. They were just promoting a record or a movie. So typecasting is when one person gets the same type of role over and over again. But why is that happening? So that's what we're going to look into next. It's going to be fun. I hope everybody participates. But this serious stuff needs talked about too. So I hope it encourages somebody. I hope you stand strong and firm in your faith and in truth and no fear. This is why we bring this illumination and we try to expose, things that are going on is to stop them. Is to stop them. Remember, prophecies aren't necessarily always true. They can be true if you don't change the path you're on. I love you guys. Bye.